This drone weighs less than 2 kilos, can fly more than 30 minutes long and up to 6 kilometers far. With the operating radius of 10 kilometers, it not only shoots 5K video, but also avoids obstacles automatically. More importantly, it can fly all the way along a preset route and land safely. This drone comes from Shenzhen, China, and it's a DJI, whose products almost monopolize the global consumer drone market. Hey friends, welcome to Bing Talks. Today I'll talk about one of the most successful tech companies in China, DJI. In order to get closer to this company, we have to talk about its father first. Wang Tao, aka Frank Wang, founder and CEO of DJI, was born in the 1980s. After dropping out of university in his junior year, he was then rejected by famous foreign universities. Later, he was admitted to the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology to repeat his undergraduate studies. After then, it took him another 5 years to graduate as a master. Not only did he have a hard time at university, but he also had a bad temper. He said the world was too stupid with too many unreliable people and things. There was no one in the world that he really admired. He also called himself a perfectionist. He often looked down other people's work results as garbage. This person made China's first drone that could hover autonomously. From the first product, he basically monopolized the global consumer drone market. Today, DJI's valuation exceeds 140 billion RMB, and its annual revenue exceeds 30 billion RMB. Why was Wang Tao interested in drone in the first place then? Because once he saw a helicopter hovering in the air. Why could helicopters stay still in the air? This question had been planted in his mind ever since. He started building model aircraft and reading related magazines since he was a child. Especially after the model helicopter he finally got was smashed into pieces due to a control mistake. He became more interested in this question. He wanted to make a helicopter flight control system, but this wish was way beyond the scope for him back then. Why? It has to start with the principle of flight. There are two types of aircrafts. One is fixed-wing aircraft, which is a common aircraft that we see, including passenger planes, cargo planes, fighter jets, etc. The other is rotorcrafts, a typical example of which is helicopter, including today's various kinds of drones. They're all considered rotorcraft. If fixed-wing aircraft are born stable, the rotorcraft is born unstable. Rotorcraft rely on the downward airflow generated by high-speed rotation of the propeller to provide lift. However, the angle, velocity, vibration of the rotor, as well as the airflow and air density, all have an impact on the aircraft. Along with the lift, the rotorcraft will also generate spin force. This force makes the aircraft rotate continuously in one direction. This is why we see small rotors on the tail of many helicopters. It doesn't generate any lift at all, but is simply used to offset the spin force. Although fixed-wing aircraft and rotorcraft were invented both in the first decade of the 20th century, you can see that during World War I, fixed-wing aircraft were already fighting in the sky, and even lots of tactics for them were developed. But the first ever practical mass-produced helicopter wasn't equipped until 1942 that the United States began to equip them on a large scale. Even today, the accident rate of helicopter is much higher than that of fixed-wing aircraft. However, how unstable and prone to accident helicopters are, there is one ability that makes them irreplaceable, which is the hovering ability that a fixed-wing aircraft doesn't have. This ability allows them to take off and land on a small surface and can freely shuttle between cliffs or high-rise buildings in the city. It's a must for rescue, surveying, investigation, and other tasks. In order to learn how to control a helicopter, Wang Tao initially chose Department of Electronics at East China Normal University. However, he found out in his junior year that what was taught there was not quite the same as what he wanted to learn, so he dropped out voluntarily and applied for Stanford and MIT. Embarrassingly, these two universities didn't accept him. Finally, he went to the School of Electronic Engineering of the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. That year was 2003. Wang Tao, who was already 23 years old, became a freshman once again. He went through so much trouble just to figure out the flight control of the helicopter. From this point, you can feel Wang Tao was extremely persistent. So what can HKUST give him? The School of Engineering that admitted Wang Tao was the finest school of HKUST. There were already lots of professors in HKUST who had achieved academic and business successes at famous universities abroad. Among these people, there was Wang Tao's mentor. I keep it a secret for now. The teaching method of schools was also very special. In addition to the theoretical learning, the school provided funds and mentors to take students participate in robot competition, a competitive competition. Participating students needed to start preparing a year in advance. In this process, not only technical problems need to be solved, but also plans and strategies should be developed like a startup project. This learning method was simply what Wang Tao wanted. He participated in 2 competitions, one of which he was a champion in Hong Kong, and the other was tied for 3rd place in the Asia-Pacific region. When it came to choosing the dissertation topic, he decided to work hard and take on the challenge of control system for autonomous helicopters. From the time he was admitted to East China Normal University to the 3rd year of undergraduate study at HKUST, Wang Tao had already spent 7 years, but when he proposed this topic, he was still opposed by his friends and his tutor because this topic was too difficult for an undergraduate student. We said previously that helicopters are inherently unstable. If letting a helicopter fly normally is the normal difficulty, then hovering is a higher difficulty. Why is hovering tricky? First of all, when a helicopter is hovering, it has no speed in all directions, which is a more fragile balance. Moreover, the scenes that require the helicopter to hover are often very close to the ground, so once an error occurred, the aircraft is going to break down inevitably. Second, when the helicopter is descending vertically, it may encounter an aerodynamic phenomenon called the vortex ring state. To put it simply, the helicopter is trapped in a downward airflow trap created by itself. Once it enters this state, the helicopter needs to move forward a little bit in any horizontal direction to get rid of it. Third, if it's a manned helicopter, the pilot himself is a set of extremely sensitive sensors that can sense the state of the aircraft through vision, vibration, and acceleration. As for drones, they rely almost entirely on sensors. But don't forget that sensors have errors and interference. If the flight control system isn't good enough, it also causes failure of hovering. The fact that Wang Tao chose this topic, to put it bluntly, it was too difficult. The success rate was too low. If he ever failed, he would risk his graduate grades and a chance to apply to a decent grad school. But Wang Tao wasn't scared at all. He worked hard for 5 months like crazy. Then, as expected, an accident happened. The helicopter crashed during the presentation. Because of this failure, Wang Tao got a C for his dissertation project. Not to mention being accepted by grad school of top universities. He even lost a chance to be accepted for a master program of his own school. It wasn't until then his mentor, Professor Zexiang, appeared. He was moved by Wang Tao's persistence and his topic. He recommended Wang Tao as an exception and made Wang Tao his own graduate student. Who is Zexiang? From Hunan province, he was born in 1961. In 1979, he was sponsored by Alcoa to study at Carnegie Mellon University. He obtained a master's and PhD at the University of California, Berkeley. He then worked at the Artificial Intelligence Lab of MIT and the Department of Computer Science at New York University. In 1992, he joined the newly established Hong Kong University of Science and Technology and founded Automation Technology Research Center. When he was in the United States, he was deeply influenced by Frederick Terman, the father of Silicon Valley, and the dean of the School of Engineering at Stanford University. Li attached great importance to student entrepreneurship and the resulting business transformation. He hoped that the Automation Technology Research Center of HKUST will cultivate student entrepreneurs, just like Stanford Research Park will be the early prototype of Silicon Valley. By the way, he designed this exact teaching method to take students to participate in a robot competition. For Li Zexiang, Wang Tao was one of the many seed students that he met every year. But for Wang Tao, his mentor, Li Zexiang was nothing but a great helper. The resources Li provided was unreasonably abundant for him. So what resources did Li Zexiang bring to Wang Tao? First of all, more talents. The helicopter flight control system that Wang Tao wanted to make was an interdisciplinary and had never been achieved. It's so difficult that he couldn't do it alone. So Li Zexiang would find talents for him. If he needed professional guidance, he would recommend specialists. If he needed favor, he would find students for him. Especially after Li became a shareholder of DJI, he invited many big names in the industry to aid Wang Tao. In DJI's early R&D team, students from HKUST accounted for the absolute majority. The second was money. In addition to the research funds from HKUST, Li Zexiang had been investing out of his own pocket since early on. He even almost went broke because of the failure to invest in a chip startup company which was initiated by another student of him. Li Zexiang was one of the earliest investors at DJI. The last traceable shareholding ratio of him was 10%. The last and most important was the courage to start a business. With the support of Li Zexiang, Wang Tao continued his postgraduate studies while focusing on research and development. In early 2006, Wang Tao successfully developed the first generation of flight control system and achieved the sale of complete model helicopters. By the end of 2006, 26-year-old Wang Tao founded DJI Innovations in a warehouse of less than 20 square meters in Chegongmiao, Shenzhen. The name DJI implied boundless wisdom. From then on, Wang Tao went from being a persistent model aircraft enthusiast to real model aircraft seller. Yes, you heard it right. Seller. There were no phenomenal products, no mass production, no mergers and acquisitions. DJI was merely an account on the model aircraft forum. It was in a very tight spot. It sold both parts and complete helicopters. It had to sell something to purchase something else. The reason why DJI was in that situation was due to both common problems in the industry and Wang Tao's own issues. The former was that model aircraft at that time couldn't be used in even the most basic commercial scenarios. For instance, if you were to install solar panels in the mountains, you'd like a drone to see what's behind the mountains are like. What capabilities does it need? The first is hovering. Only when hovering could a drone get closer to the ground and take clearer photos. The second is real-time image transmission. Once the drone flies out of your visual range, you have to rely on the images transmitted to you to control it. The image doesn't have to be razor sharp. There can't be too much delay. Otherwise, the drone will crash into the mountains, most likely. The third is the ability to fly autonomously. Let's say a remote control signal is cut off due to occlusion or interference. How do we deal with it then? Let it crash and break? Certainly not. It must be able to fly back to itself until the remote control signal is restored. These capabilities correspond to the technology to be overcome, namely reliable flight control system, onboard camera, long-distance real-time image transmission, and a gimbal on which the camera is mounted for stabilization. These problems couldn't be solved by either DJI or other model aircraft manufacturers in a short period. So what was Wang Tao's own problem? It's that he didn't know how to be a boss. Wang Tao said in an interview that at the time he didn't have a clear target of what kind and scale of company he wanted to build. He merely wanted to sustain a team of 10 to 20 employees. He wasn't into making money so much. This may be related to Wang Tao's wealthy family background. Sometimes he would give up orders because model aircraft he built weren't good enough. Had he been the only person in the company, this would have been no problem with him doing it this way. However, for the young people he recruited who expected to have both dreams and money, a more ambitious boss would be great. Luckily, Wang Tao was an ambitious man, and he didn't have good temper. He was just a carefree boss. A year later, most of DJI's original team members left, and Wang Tao lost lots of money instead. So how did Wang Tao go past this low point in career? later made DJI the #1 in the drone market. Let's continue the story next time. Thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe if you find it useful. Why not check out other videos in my channel if you're on in a rush? And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.